It's saving them a ton of money, it's saving the environment.
California is the first to enact a statewide crackdown on plastic shopping bags.
Of the original 48 contacts,
Officials in Texas say 43 people are Ebola-free after fears they may have been exposed to the virus. The Los Angeles Police Department and the Los Angeles Autism Society are teaming up so police can better understand youngsters with autism.
This is Valley View News.
Hello, and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Zoe Reynolds.
And I'm Gladys Amescoa.
Los Angeles police say they've arrested a Long Beach man on charges he killed a CSUN student who had been missing for a month. The body of Abdullah Al-Qadi was found October 17th just off Interstate 10. Authorities say he had been stabbed. Valley View's Mahina Haina was at Los Angeles Police Headquarters when the announcement was made. She joins us in the newsroom now.
Police Chief Charlie Beck held a news conference to announce the arrest of 28-year-old Augustin Fernandez. Beck said Al-Qadi had planned to sell his car to Fernandez.
The investigation determined that Augustin Fernandez killed Mr. Al-Qadi in an attempt to keep both the Audi and the purchase price.
Beck said the police determined that Fernandez went to Al-Qadi's residence to purchase the student's car after seeing an ad online.
It's a very sad case. It's a case that is all too common in the county and city of Los Angeles. I think that the message for the public here is that you have to beware when you're using online internet sites to sell anything.
Fernandez is jailed on charges of murder, carjacking, and robbery. Chief Beck says the court date for Fernandez has not been set yet. Back to you.
A 43-year-old man has been arrested in connection with the killings of 7 women in Indiana. The first body was found at a motel in the city of Hammond. A CNN affiliate says the 19-year-old woman was strangled. Police say the man's confession led to 3 more bodies that were inside abandoned homes. Detectives requested search warrants on a house and a vehicle near the home of the suspect in City Gary. Sources say the man is a convicted sex offender from Austin, Texas. Gary Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson says she doesn't want to disrupt the investigation by calling the man a serial killer.
Dallas County officials say Ebola monitoring has ended for the people who had contact with an Ebola patient. The people have been found to be free of the virus.
of the original 48 contacts, 43 of those contacts have effectively rolled off and are Ebola-free. All of those 48 are well into, 43 are off, and the one will be later today, and the other 4 will be in the coming days.
42-year-old Thomas Eric Duncan was infected with Ebola and admitted to Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital in Dallas on September 28th. He died about 10 days later. 2 nurses who treated Duncan have been diagnosed with Ebola. 29-year-old Amber Vinson and 26-year-old Nina Pham are both undergoing treatment.
The Centers for Disease Control is urging Americans to prepare for this year's flu season. About 20% people in the United States will become infected with influenza. Reporter Daisy Merida has more.
Thank you. I'm with Dr. Eliel Spinello, who is a part-time faculty member at CSUN's Department of Health Sciences. Thank you for joining us today, Dr. Spinello.
You're welcome.
Okay, so the CDC estimates that each year more than 200,000 people are hospitalized due to flu-related complications. So there's a lot of misconceptions and confusion about when the flu season usually begins and when does it end. Can you describe that?
Normally in the northern hemisphere, flu season typically is thought of as going from about October through March. Peak months are generally December, January, and February. Really important to note, though, you can get the flu anytime during the year. Those are just the months where the most numbers of cases are typically found.
So why should Americans care about the flu?
Well, each year there are about 1,500 to 2,000 deaths directly related to influenza, plus a large number that are related to pneumonia and influenza together. In addition to the mortality risk, there's a large number of cases that produce some sort of economic impact.
So what should Americans do to prevent the flu?
Well, the most basic thing that they can do is frequent hand washing. That means 20 seconds under hot running water with soap. This is particularly important if there's someone in the household or in the workplace that they come into contact with who has flu symptoms. The next most important thing is getting the flu shot. The annual flu vaccine typically reduces the risk of getting the flu up to about 60% in most people. It can reduce the risk of hospitalization 70 to 80%.
So health officials say that half of Americans aren't getting the protection that's available for them. Just 1/3 of adults last year received a vaccination. So coming from a health perspective, if the flu is easily prevented, why, in your opinion, do so many Americans avoid and ignore vaccinations?
Well, typically falls into one of three categories. The first is the belief that it's not going to work for them. And generally, you'll see anecdotally the person who says, I know someone who got a flu shot and then they ended up getting the flu. I don't think it works. The second is the individual who is concerned that there may be some sort of adverse effect from the flu vaccine. I've had students tell me that they don't get a flu shot because they believe it gives you the flu. And this is usually based on the anecdotal account of someone who got the flu shot and then sometime immediately after that became sick with the flu. Generally, when that happens, it's almost always a coincidental event where they were infected sometime before the flu shot, got the flu shot, and sometime after the symptoms became evident. And generally, those are typically the most common things. And then finally, there's the person who believes that I just don't get sick. I've never gotten the flu. I don't need a flu shot. Unfortunately, not having been sick in the past is generally not a very good predictor of what is going to happen in the future.
Okay, so what about people who have received a vaccination? Are they still able to pass a flu virus?
If they're infected, yes, but typically they need to become symptomatic at the point that they begin to pass it along. So generally, the idea behind the flu vaccine is that it stimulates the production of antibodies which fight off the infection. The person doesn't really ever get sick, thereby making it less likely that they're going to pass it on to anyone else. And that's actually a very important aspect of this, is someone who is not vaccinated is much more likely to pass it on to someone else. Of the 1,500 to 2,000 deaths that occur annually, 80–90% of those are among people age 65 and older. So not having a vaccine in a younger person who is able to fight it off more readily puts someone in an older age category that they may come into contact with at an increased risk.
And who is mostly at high risk from getting the flu?
High risk is typically of getting it almost everyone. In terms of fatalities, it's typically the very young and the very old.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
Well, it's a combination of all of those factors: the frequent hand washing, the flu shot, making sure to avoid other individuals if you feel any symptoms at all. But in combination, that's the best way to produce the prevention of the flu over time and to reduce the risk.
Thank you for joining us today, Dr. Spinello.
You're very welcome.
Back to you.
German airline Lufthansa is expected to cancel over 1,000 flights. The airline's pilots are on strike after Lufthansa cut some of their retirement benefits. The canceled flights are expected to affect about 200,000 people. Some of the longer flights will not be canceled. Lufthansa has been dealing with walkouts all year. This is the longest series of strikes in the company's history.
Former Los Angeles Schools John Deasy lost the support of the school board because he took too many actions on his own. A Los Angeles Times report says board members felt Deasy's efforts to reform schools put him outside their control. Deasy resigned his post and will be replaced by former Superintendent Ramon Cortines. The newspaper report said board members thought Deasy took too many solo missions that the board did not agree with. The Times reports that the elected board looked for reasons to push Deasy out.
Governor Jerry Brown made U.S. history on September 30th when he signed SB 270 into law. Valley View's James Jewett has the story.
Governor Jerry Brown signed 270 into law late last month. SB 270 bans the use of plastic bags by grocers, pharmacies, liquor stores, and other convenience stores. Cities including Los Angeles, San Francisco, and San Jose have already implemented a plastic bag ban. Now the entire state has, making it the first to do so. Plastic bags from grocers and other plastic bags are 2 of the top 10 littered items collected from streets, riverbeds, storm drains, and according to environmental scientist Dr. Peter Bellin, the beaches and oceans are also areas of concern.
This plastic waste, with plastic bags just being one component of that. we ended up just sort of floating around in the ocean and interacting with, I think, still unknown ways with life in the oceans and the birds and the other animals. And some of that small plastics, you probably know, the animals mistake it for food.
Right.
And eat it, and again, we don't know the full impact of what that will have, but it can't be good.
Advocacy group American Progressive Bag Alliance spoke out against the ban, saying it cost Americans working in the plastic bag plants their jobs. Northridge grocer Fresh and Easy hasn't used plastic bags since they were banned in Los Angeles, and manager Dustin Adams says it took a while for customers to adapt.
It was a little bit of an issue because people didn't know what was going on, really. Like, all of a sudden bags were gone and they're getting charged 10 cents. But slowly they adjusted, and it's become a lot better because people are buying canvas bags, and it's saving them a ton of money, it's saving the environment.
Other stores in LA, like Target, are doing what they can to help the coming transition by giving customers 5 cents back for every bag they bring in.
We actually had the 5 cents back before we even had the bag bans to get them accustomed to it. So we started doing that earlier, before the bag ban ever happens, to get people getting used to bringing their bags in.
California is the first, but Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and New Jersey are also considering the ban. SB 270 will go into effect July 2015. In Northridge, I'm James Jewett for Valley View News.
Making a hands-free phone call while driving can be more distracting than picking up a phone to make the call. That's what a study from AAA says it found. It says in-dash phone systems are overly complicated and prone to errors. AAA says it's also distracting to use the voice-activated system called Siri. The researchers used special test cars and equipment to measure how distracted drivers became when they used phones. AAA says 3,000 people a year are killed in crashes caused by distracted driving.
The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled the state of Texas can use its strict voter identification law in the upcoming election. The decision came just 2 days before early voting began in the state. This also comes after a federal judge ruled that the law was equal to a poll tax and may deprive many blacks and Latinos of the right to vote. The law sets 7 forms of approved IDs. This allows the use of handgun licenses as identification for voting, but not college student IDs. The challengers in Texas say that the last time the Supreme Court allowed a voting law to be used, it was in an election in 1982.
So-called date rape drugs can now be detected by using a special form of nail polish. 4 college students from North Carolina State University created the fingernail coating. Valley View's Zoe Reynolds reports on the invention and how women can use it.
A nail polish has been created to detect date rape drugs. Undercover Colors alerts people of drugs slipped into drinks at parties or bars. Undercover Colors will go on clear and change when it's dipped in a drink and exposed to a date rape drug. College students believe they are most at risk of being drugged because of their environment.
The lifestyle, it's very go out, party, big crowds.
Some say it will raise awareness of assault, but won't stop it from happening.
We are women and we are more susceptible to being victims. However, I think it's also essential for just men to also know that they're just as exposed to the same dangers, but also that because they are known as the perpetrators more often, they need to know what boundaries to not cross.
The lacquer will be made to react to Xanax, Rohypnol, and GHB. These drugs are undetectable in liquids and common among predators. Some think the polish will be a good device to have.
It's just one more tool that potential victims can use to sort of ward off a potential predator.
Critics say the nail polish is normalizing the rape culture. Zoe Reynolds, Valley View News. 4 out of 5 purchases in Sweden are paid for electronically. People are carrying less cash by using credit cards and payment systems like Swish. The shrinking cash purchases are lowering costs and reducing bank robberies. The costs of handling cash in Sweden are approximately $1.2 billion. The U.S. spends nearly $200 billion a year to handle all its bills and coins. Bank robberies in Sweden are the lowest they have been in 30 years. Only 5 were reported in 2012. Electronic payments are not rising in all European countries. Cash purchases in Italy account for 75% of payments.
The hunt for a mystery submarine off Sweden has raised tensions in the area. Swedish armed forces went on alert after reporting what they called undersea activity only about 20 miles offshore from Stockholm. The Russian Defense Ministry denied there were any emergency situations involving Russian warships. It said a Dutch sub could have been carrying out exercises in the Baltic Sea and caused the alert. The search recalls a type of suspicions that were common during the Cold War.
Researchers say up to 30% of California's high school graduates don't go to college because they lack the money or don't know how to enroll. The experts call this problem the summer melt and say it mainly affects low-income groups. Colleges are adding text message reminders to keep students on top of important enrollment deadlines. The Southern California College Advising Corps has worked with high schools to learn the deadlines of various colleges and make sure students understand them.
The LAPD, the Sheriff's Department, and the Los Angeles Autism Society have teamed up for training with autistic children. And now we go to Valley View's Marcelina Rallo. She has more on the story.
Mission Possible has one intention in mind: to help law enforcement develop the skills necessary to better understand the characteristics of autistic children in order to provide a safer environment during encounters. The Los Angeles Autism Society is teaming up with the LAPD and the Sheriff's Department, along with children from the Los Angeles Unified School District.
The purpose behind Mission Possible is to help the police learn about people with autism and help people with autism learn about the police. Our goal is to improve mutual understanding and to reduce problem outcomes.
People with disabilities are 7 times more likely to come in contact with law enforcement, and a lack of understanding and tools can cause interactions to escalate.
We have seen the rates of autism increase in diagnosis. And we're really aware that our officers are going to come in contact with kids who have autism and adults.
Children were also fingerprinted and photographed as part of a complete identification system and will be kept on file by the LAPD in case of incidents. But the best part was just hanging out and having fun and learning about each other.
It's nice talking to somebody I haven't met before who's struggling with a disability. And what I do appreciate is they can see us more as a human being. A lot of times we're faceless people driving in a car, and particularly when you have a disability, there may be a little bit of intimidation involved, and they're not sure they can talk to us, and they're not sure if they can ask us for help.
This young man was so inspired that he wants to be a police officer when he grows up, and he told us what his highlight of the day was.
Police cars.
These kids now have something new to share with friends and family as they head home. Mission Possible, bridging the gap between law enforcement and communities of autism. Reporting from Los Angeles, Marcelina Rallo, Valley View News. Smile.
Say adios.
Adios. Coming up next, the Dallas Cowboys continue their winning streak and Peyton Manning sets a new NFL record.
Every budget, so don't accept defeat. Now you can get covered and still buy me treats.
You take care of your pets. Now it's their turn to take care of you. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn about your health insurance options.
Today, 1 out of every 4 American kids is Hispanic. That means many of the future doctors who will care for us, the engineers who will build our cities, the scientists and entrepreneurs of our country can be your kids. We all know how hard it is for you to send them to college. This is why we want you to know you are not alone. And every day, more people support you to make it happen. Many support you. And the Hispanic Scholarship Fund helps you prepare, plan, and pay for your kids' college education. Learn more at hsf.net.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
And now for sports, let's go to James Jewett. So James, what happened over the weekend in the NFL? I hear there were some great stories.
Exciting stuff. Let me tell you all about it. In the weekend for football, it was exciting. The Arizona Cardinals continue their dominance of the NFC West by beating the Oakland Raiders 24-13. Dallas Cowboys remain the hottest team in the NFC, defeating the New York Giants 31-22. Cowboys running back DeMarco Murray set a new NFL record after recording his 7th straight game rushing over 100 yards. The Colts destroyed the Bengals in a 27-0 shutout as Andrew Luck threw for 344 yards to this man right here, and he could go all the way. He's in. That's a touchdown for him. And finally, Denver crushed the 49ers at Mile High Stadium, 42-17 in a historic night for Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning is now the all-time leader for career touchdown passes. He's thrown 510.
I've always been a fan of quarterbacks, whether it's, Brett Favre or Dan Marino or John Elway. And so I'm very honored and humbled to join, a pretty unique club.
That unique club were the likes of Dan Marino, Brett Favre, and Johnny Unitas. Last Sunday, Manning threw 4 touchdowns against San Francisco. The record-breaking TD was caught by Demaryius Thomas on an out route in the red zone. Last year, Manning tied the record for TD passes in a single game at 7, and he also set the record for single-season TD passes by a quarterback in 2013 with 55. Now on to hockey. Los Angeles Kings player Slava Voinov has been arrested and suspended indefinitely from the team. Voinov was arrested on charges of domestic violence, and officials say they were called to Redondo Beach where someone reported that there was a woman screaming. The NHL is investigating the domestic violence arrest. A league rule says a player must be suspended during a criminal investigation. Voinov will continue to be paid during the suspension. Madison Bumgarner will pitch in the World Series opener for the San Francisco Giants. James Shields will be pitching for the Kansas City Royals. Bumgarner was voted National League Champion Series MVP as the Giants beat the St. Louis Cardinals in 5 games. Giants manager Bruce Bochy is keeping his pitching rotation in the same for the first 2 rounds of the postseason. Right-hander Jake Peavy will pitch on Game 2 Wednesday night for the Giants. And there might be something sticky students walking around CSUN this week thanks to pools of Jell-O and a few games of tug-of-war. Let's go to our newsroom where Eric Roberts, our Valley View News reporter, has more.
CSUN's Greek community came together over the weekend to participate in a tug-of-war tournament. The tournament was run by the Delta Zeta sorority, which hopes to raise money for those in need. The Delta Zeta sorority is having their annual turtle tug competition, a tug-of-war contest where they raise money for their national philanthropy, the Painted Turtle Camp. The event brought together Greek organizations from both CSUN and Cal State Los Angeles' campus in order to raise money for Delta Zeta's national philanthropy. The weekend was capped off by Delta Zeta's signature turtle tug competition, where men from 13 different fraternities came together to see who was the strongest organization on campus. Delta Zeta's philanthropy chair, Laura Hagapian, was happy with the overall success of the week of events.
In past years, what Turtle Tug's been was just a tug-of-war over a pool of Jell-O, and we have that going on right now behind us. This year and last year, we've tried to add a little bit more into it to raise more money for our philanthropy. So we have a fundraiser, we have a lip-sync competition, which was really successful this year, and we were doing a penny drop, kind of penny wars thing all during the week.
While the event included fun things like tug-of-war over a pool of Jell-O or pieing a friend in the face, in the end, everything was put together in order to benefit those in need.
All our proceeds goes towards the Painted Turtle Camp, which is a camp for chronically ill children. It's a camp that's completely funded. It's completely funded by all the Delta Zetas across the nation, and also by the Lakers and other famous people as well.
Over the years, Delta Zeta has raised thousands of dollars to put towards the Painted Turtle Camp, and this year proves to be no different.
In past years, we've either broken even with how much money we made, and last year we went crazy and made $5,000. This year our goal was $7,000, and we just hit it today, and I think we went even over it, so we're really excited.
From Cal State Northridge, I'm Eric Roberts for Valley View News.
And that's all I have for sports. Peyton Manning is continuing to climb the ladder, and I think he's going to get a lot more touchdowns. How many do you think he's going to get?
525 touchdowns.
Nice.
Coming up next, the adult entertainment industry extends production halt after HIV exposure.
No more pencils, no more books,
No more teachers, dirty looks. School's
What this place needed was better graduation rates. So we worked with schools like Henry Ford High, and now they're up 18%.
To help us do more good this year, go to unitedway.org, because great things happen when we live united.
You might just call the ranger station
And now for entertainment, here's Lauren Bennett. But first, Lauren, tell us about the recent HIV scare at the adult entertainment industry.
It's interesting, Zoe, because adult movie productions have stopped filming on porn sets while they try to find out if any performers have been exposed to HIV. The action was touched off by a report of HIV exposure on a porn movie set outside of California. The location was not disclosed. An industry group called the Free Speech Coalition says the hold could hurt porn studios, but safety of actors is a priority. Adult film industries typically require performers to be tested for sexually transmitted diseases every 2 weeks. The coalition says it will continue to work with employees and the health department to determine when the production can safely continue. Prince William and the Duchess of Cambridge are expecting the birth of their second child in April. The royals have not yet revealed if the newest addition to their family is a boy or a girl. The baby will become fourth in line to the British throne. A change in the law last year granted women the same rights to the throne as men. This means that if the baby is a girl, she would be next in line to the throne after her older brother. A California couple has asked Walt Disney Studios to create a character with Down syndrome. Keston Oatdahl and her wife Andrea have a petition with over 30,000 responses from around the world. The mothers say their 15-month-old child with Down syndrome has no Disney role models. The petition asks Disney to create a hero who teaches others to be compassionate and accepting of kids who are different. Oatdahl says Disney has done a great job inspiring children and can help change the way societies view people with Down syndrome. Disney has not responded to the couple's request. Time Warner has announced DC Comics' Wonder Woman will star in a feature film in 2017. Actor Gal Gadot is playing Wonder Woman in the 2016 Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. She will continue the role in the Wonder Woman movie. The social media world and comic fans have been creating a lot of buzz on the internet with anticipation for the upcoming film. Facebook has launched a new app called Safety Check. It's designed to help users let others know they are safe when a natural disaster strikes. The app works this way. People in the disaster area will receive a Facebook notification asking if they are safe. The user checks the I am safe box and the status of the person will be posted on their profile. Facebook will determine users' locations based on the last city they have listed in their profile. Safety Check is available worldwide on featured smartphones and desktop computers. And that's it for entertainment. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Lauren. Well, that's all we have for Valley Views this week. I'm Gladys Amesqua.
And I'm Zoe Reynolds. Thanks for joining us.